So one of the weirdest trickle-down from the internet to have actual real-life ramification moments in our cultural history is happening this weekend, and that's the release of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. A couple years ago on the internet, all anybody could talk about was like monkeys, robots, vampires, and zombies. There was this weird collective internet obsession with these genre tropes and recombining them. A guy named Seth Grahame-Smith, who had been given the title of a book by the editor of a book company, who said, I've got this title of a book in my head, I can't get it out, it's really funny, it's called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. He wrote it, Seth Grahame-Smith did, it being a mashup of Pride and Prejudice and a zombie story, and published it to huge kind of cult adoration on the internet and in real life. And as a result, it launched this huge trend in publishing for young adults and 20-something internet people of these weird mashup books. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter is by Seth Grahame-Smith. It's his second book, I believe, and it, of course, tells the story of Abraham Lincoln, except where Abraham Lincoln was a vampire hunter. The war against slavery and the war against the South was to do with the fact that there were vampires in the South, and that's why they wanted to have slaves, so they can drink their blood. The movie version is directed by Timur, Bekmambetov, who directed Day Watch, Night Watch, and Wanted, the weird Curve the Bullet movie. And he's a guy that's known for being fantastically, spectacularly, visually inventive. And you can see some of that influence in Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. The fact that every scene is filled with CGI floating dust particles that move in and out of 3D that are, you know, occasionally distracting and occasionally kind of interesting, especially when they actually become important to the plot at some point in terms of detecting invisible vampires. The problem with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the movie, is that the funniest thing, the best part about it, is the title. There's no funny other characters, there's no slapstick, there's no other jokes to the film other than the joke of, hey, what if Honest Abe killed vampires with an axe? As a result, the film feels really, really tiresome. It doesn't work for that reason. Despite Bekmambetov filling the film with a couple of really amazingly kind of high-quality, innovative action scenes, the film's climax, which is happening on a burning train where Abraham Lincoln's fighting off a bunch of vampires, going across a burning bridge, but by that point you don't actually care about any of the characters anyways, and you're kind of already given up on the whole idea of actually being interested in Abraham Lincoln and him fighting vampires. So what should you watch instead? A couple of years ago, Don Coscarelli, who was famous for directing the Phantasm series, made an early kind of predecessor to a film like this called Bubba Hotep, which starred Bruce Campbell and Ossie Davis, who we're also talking about on the site in another article. They play Elvis and JFK, who have to protect a senior citizens home from an ancient mummy cowboy who's going to suck all of their souls. Except it's a film that actually has, you know, again, this is a common refrain in Watch This Instead episodes, something to say beyond, hey, wouldn't it be funny if Elvis and black wheelchair-bound JFK fought a mummy? It's about getting older, it's about not being valued when you're past your prime. It's actually interesting, and it has characters that you care about, even if they're Elvis and black JFK. And as such, it's a much better film, though much less shiny and CGI filled than Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and you should watch that instead.